So, welcome to our session this week here. I am very excited to have a coach and also, I would say, a research scientist and someone that would give you some insights today that will help you with your leadership journey. And as you know, we are on East Meets West. And today we have a really special guest out from Canada that is going to be talking to us about his leadership journey a little bit. And then also he's going to share with us about the AccuMatch behavior intelligence tool, something that really helped me on my leadership journey. And I will share more about this, how it has helped me after he gives you an idea of what this tool is really about. So our guest speaker today is no other than Nagy Bihelik. And I told him that I'm going to butcher his name, but Nagy for short. That's his first name. So you could call him Nagy. And please share any questions. I'm sure you'll have many questions about this, what he's about to share with us. And Nagy is a business entrepreneur. He is a consultant, an innovator, a coach, and he's a developer, one of the developer of the AccuMatch behavior intelligence tool. He's a master code trainer and a firm founder and the owner of the behavior intelligence.io. And so, yes, he's very knowledgeable in what he does. He has a great team and they have developed the first neuro mapping assessment to expose our unconscious behaviors so that we can quickly navigate and transform our limiting beliefs and blind spots. Yes, we all have blind spots. We all have areas that we are not seeing, but this is what makes this tool so amazing, that it will help you to see those blind spots and then you get to choose what you're going to do about it. So let me not speak more on this here. I will have Nagy come on and introduce and share about his leadership journey. Nagy, welcome to East Meets West.
Thanks, Shanti. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. It's very exciting. The whole digital world has been really amazing, and it's good to be a part of that. Thank you.
Yes, and we are excited. What you have is something that, yes, has been developed to help the leaders, and I'm sure many coaches also are using it with their clients to help them. And so you're going to tell us more. But before we go into the tool itself and talking more of any aspect of it, how it can help us as leaders, tell me about yourself. Tell a little bit about your leadership journey and maybe some of the lessons that we could also learn from you.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I'll try and keep it short, all right? My journey is really, I started my interest in behavior, I think, started in high school. But my skills and strengths, my graduation was in engineering, electronics engineering. And I discovered early in my career that, when computers came out, I was the first one to say, I don't really want to have anything to do with that. Yet my career went into IBM. I became a product leader, bringing products into the Australasia, because I lived in Australia at the time. And the whole journey of bringing technology to people really reinforced my focus on the importance of understanding how people embrace technology. So the journey about behavior intelligence started very young in my career. I was then, being an entrepreneur, I couldn't stay very long, so I moved into consulting, worked with major corporations. I led some research and development departments, and we really worked with people and transformation and systems and so forth. And the journey just continued. So I've been fortunate enough, because of you know, when we look at my map later on, I might put up my map, but I love change, right? So I'm constantly learning and growing and inventing. I won't bore you with all the inventions along the way, but there's been many things that I see a problem and I want to fix it, and that's really how a lot of this came to be. And, in 2007, I started a coaching firm here in Calgary, and we saw a lot of challenges that came about through trying to build a coaching firm, trying to train lots of coaches to work with business owners. So I saw the challenges on three levels. With business owners, their dynamics with their team, their recruitment processes, coaches working with clients, trying to get clients, trying to bring transformation about. And then our own firm, trying to grow a successful coaching firm. Everything came back to behavior. And that's really where the catalyst, in 2007, 2009, we started our research and development. And in 2011 really is when AccuMatch got labeled as AccuMatch. So really AccuMatch has been around for over 10 years now, but the research goes back to probably 15 years. And the history behind that is really all our experiences. And I've been fortunate enough to work with psychologists and neuroscientists and a whole bunch of different people that have really helped contribute to that. So that's the quick version, without going into too much of all of the bits and pieces, but I hope that kind of helps give the background to that.
Sure, definitely. And I can't, should I say, agree more with you about behavior. Even in my coaching journey with all my clients, and even let me not even start there, I start with myself. It's about behaviors, and our behavior, leads in. People are seeing our behavior, but then even for us, did not understand why we're doing certain things and how we're wired. And because we didn't have that visual of what is going on in our head, and you have come up with a tool to help us see what's going on in our head. And so it's all about behaviors. Where does so many different things came out on the map to show where, like whether it's our past, how we see things, and different areas that we might not have thought about is affecting us right now. Our decisions and everything is coming out. We don't know, and that's why we call it the blind spot. So that's what's amazing about the AccuMatch. It's all about behavior. And I always tell my clients that we could sit here and we can have such great plans to, strategies and this and to do increase your revenue or the team and all aspect, your operation systems, everything. We can have such an amazing strategy to go back, but then when you go, you don't do anything. And so if we don't understand what's going on up here, and then all the other things that we are working on wouldn't make sense. And so that's why one of the reasons I love the AccuMatch is that it helps with the behavior side. And if we work on the behavior side, then all the other things can fall into places.
You're absolutely correct. One of the things that played into this very early in the development was we know that 80% of the population around the world is visual, right? And so we needed to have a visual tool, not just a lot of words on a page, So that was an important part of developing it the way that we developed it. And the second thing is, the problem that we identified in our coaching firm was we were working with business, we were a business, and coaches were building a business practice. But teaching people business systems didn't make them better at implementing them, right? And that's really what you've identified with as well is the implementation is really about the person doing it. And if we just stop there for a second, person doing something, that's a behavior, right? And as I said before, we didn't invent psychology. We just really leveraged some of those things. I have a really good couple of examples that have come to surface recently. One of them is Gillette, the razor. For men, we shave. Well, I don't anymore these days, but but we all have razors. There's razors for men, women, all kinds of people. And Gillette didn't invent the razor, though, right? The razor's been around for hundreds of years, right? So what they did was really leverage technology, systems, processes, manufacturing to make it easier for us, to make something that is, I'm glad I don't have to get a cut rose razor on my face, because I would probably cut myself all the time, right? And so they made it easier. And really we've done the same thing. Another one that came to mind the other day, because I love coffee. I don't know, do you enjoy a cup of coffee? Sometimes.
I'm learning to like it now.
Yeah, look, you probably, a lot of people like tea, but coffee's been around forever. And, I've been fortunate. One of my first entrepreneurial ventures was actually importing coffee machines. That's why that's valid for me. And that was the transition from the old days. We had instant coffee, and then we were going to filtered coffee, and then espresso machines came along, but they were still all messy. And today, Nespresso is taking the world by storm, and everybody's copying them with the capsules because of ease of use. It's simple. You plug a capsule in, it's not dirty, it's not messy. You just throw the capsule out and so on. So again, what my point is, they didn't invent coffee, neither did Gillette invent the razor. They just invented a way of progressing new technology and making it easy for us to leverage that. And AccuMatch has done the same for us. In fact, AccuMatch was the beginning of the journey to behavior intelligence. Okay, so the behavior intelligence is really like the user experience when they use an espresso machine today. Okay? The experience is so much better, so much easier. And so AccuMatch is a way of accelerating, sorry, I digress a little bit, but to tell you a little story as well. I was talking to a psychologist the other day, and he said to me, what you've done is you've taken our one-to-one conversations that we were having with our clients, and coaches do the same thing. You do a discovery session, you ask questions, you try to dig deep in lots of different areas. And what he said is, you've taken what's taken us months and given that to me in the first session. In my first session, I already know how that person responds to situations, what triggers them. I know what questions to ask them to help them go through the discovery process about themselves. So that's really what I'm talking about when I say user experience. That experience to take someone on a journey where they become intelligent about their behavior, right? That's the power of AccuMatch and behavior intelligence. Sorry, I went into a few different directions. Does that make sense?
No. These are great points, and indeed, for us, we need to understand. And so I appreciate your examples that you can understand more of where this is heading, and also how it's gonna help us and understanding. I think more, as you said, unconscious behavior. So it's bringing those unconscious areas that we are not conscious about, and now it's conscious. And so you cannot do something about something that you're not conscious about.
Exactly.
This is amazing, and indeed, within just few minutes of reading someone's map, you have a fair idea of what's going on in their head.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not know that. So unless you are until you do a debrief with them to help them see, and maybe just question them about certain things, then they're becoming aware. Oh yeah, this is why I'm doing this. This is how this is showing up here. And yes, indeed. So maybe tell us more about this map.
Yeah, look, maybe just a couple of other points on that, because just like coffee and razors, and there's probably lots of other examples. There's still people that want to use the old razor. They love that feeling, right? There's still people that prefer filtered coffee or prefer a certain type of coffee in a situation, maybe tea, whatever it is. So we're not really. I don't want to sound like this. You got to stop everything else that you're doing. I want to make sure that people realize that, hey, there's a journey for transformation that we're all going through. To embrace something new, we all go at a different pace. You're an early adopter, if you like. But there's a lot of people that are, they're very happy with other tools, and there is a great place for those other tools. DISC is a great tool for introducing people to just think that way. AccuMatch, we're diving deep very quickly, right? So, there's a place for a lot of these tools, and people need to be comfortable to make that transformation. If you want more, if you want to add something else to your tools, then take a look at the map, and we'll have a look at the map now, so yeah, maybe this is a good time to bring up a map just to give people a bit of a sense of what I'm talking about, what I'm visualizing, what you're visualizing, and so this is an example, right?
Yeah, before exactly what you're saying, and something that stood out for me when you went through my map with me some time back is that certain areas I thought that, oh no, I need to get better at this here. I need to do, and so it wasn't about that. Is that I understood that there's certain time you need to pull out certain things that's already in you, and then there's time when yes, you need to tone down on certain things. So indeed, it's I don't like that. People think that you're placing them in a box and something, and this is who you are, and this is what But how you develop on these areas that might be your strength could also be some of your weaknesses.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember us having some of those conversations, and it happens with everybody that goes through the map. It's that the light bulb moments that go when you recognize something on the map and you go, oh yeah, I do that. Oh, okay. Now is that a blind spot, or is it, where did you get that? We start a conversation around that behavior because, from the early days of psychology, we know that human beings, we emote, we logically process, and we act. Those are the three things that we do. What we don't really have a lens in is, let's talk about the work situation. What triggers me? How do I respond? And, in order for me to look into the thinking and the logic and the emotion and the action, first I need to look at the behavior, right? Oh, okay. If it's kind of like holding up a mirror, as you mentioned, the light bulb moments of, yeah, that's what I do, and this is how people react to me. So it was would you say, the specificity of the points on the graph that give you the power of honing in, you don't need to cover all 49 different behaviors that we map. But if you identify 1, 2, or 3 that show up constantly, that get you the results you're getting, whether they're good results or not the desired results, and typically people tend to focus on, what are the ones that are not getting me the desired results that I want to change, right? That's transformation. Okay. So yeah, the tool, when people see all the points on the graph and the detail, often we get the, oh my God, how do I learn all of this? But maybe you can answer that better than I can. It's just the specificity for me. Maybe my engineering brain, that's the way I'm wired, gives me more clarity. When I have to deal with a label that's not very clear, my brain has to figure that out. And so I don't have the clarity that I get from the specific points on the map. Does that make sense?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
I think indeed, and that's why sometimes it's good to have a coach who understands to help you. And maybe you read everything, and it's like, some people will read everything. Some people will say, "Oh, this is so confusing. What does all this means?" But having a coach also helping you to understand it and asking you the right question is also going to be very helpful.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And the best intentions in the world don't translate automatically into the right behavior. Right? And it's only through, looking at the intention and looking at the behavior and trying to figure out where the mismatch is that we can actually help people transform. And, as I'm talking right now, there is a few things obviously that we should touch on the map here. The benchmark, the green band, this is general population, but you can have different benchmarks for different roles, different benchmarks for executives or business owners in particular industry. So we can develop lots of different benchmarks for evaluating people and comparing them to the norm, if you like. Sometimes you don't want to be in the norm. Sometimes you need to stretch outside that, and so we need to talk about when we have to push ourselves or push our clients outside the green band. I don't have the other map here, but we can map people together so we can see the dynamics of a team. We can see the dynamics in management and team members, etc. So there's a lot of applications that come out of this. Where I was going with my original thought is, if I was just to look at the green band and right in the middle there where it says global and detail, it changes my language of how I speak to my audience. So, I was doing this research with a marketing company, and they wanted to know what we call now neuro marketing or neuro sales, to understand the neurological responses of your target audience. Okay, so if I was to use our benchmark, I would say most of the audience in our system are global thinkers. So they need the big picture first before we dive into the detail. So the marketing language to reach people needs to speak to that. It's kind of in the old days when I was learning some of this stuff, in the 80s with IBM and so forth, we were talking about speaking to someone's unconscious brain, as opposed to, when we talk, often people have judgments and filters, and their conscious brain is busy processing stuff, and it's not getting through to them because we're not really talking the language that they need to receive. Okay, So by knowing that I need to start with a global picture, I need to give people, thinking about applications, stories, examples, metaphors, really paint the big picture before I dive into the details. And actually, in hindsight, we did that today, right? So really, really powerful. There's many applications, and I can digress for hours, as you know. We're doing a lot of work right now with the diversity, equality, and inclusion, and behavior is a real big part of that whole understanding what's going on, past conditioning, where it came from, what behaviors are showing up. All of that is a big part of that. In leadership, right? How we lead team, how we engage team. It was a webinar the other day. We were doing one of our master classes, and someone identified that the CEO that they were working with. I don't know, was that you or someone on the team? The CEO they were working with originally, before doing his map, thought, I'm the way I need to be, this is fine. But after they did their map, they realized that I need...
Naggy,
yeah, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are we still there? Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry. I think we lost you for a couple seconds there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Where did I get to?
You were talking about the CEO you were talking.
Right. So, yeah, the CEO, the coach was sharing that the CEO they were working with was saying, before they did the map, they said, I need you to come and work with the team because I'm okay. I know I'm doing the right things, but it's the team that need to learn, right? And then after they did the map, they turned around and they said, oh, I need to learn how to talk to each person on my executive team the way they need to be talked to, right? Okay. And we see that a little bit with DISC, but it's not the specifics that we need to go, okay, this person is very high procedure, for instance, or they're very high sameness, as we see with Philip here on the right-hand side. So don't expect him to change very quickly. So I need to be patient with this person. So all of these things start to come out of that. It's very exciting. I get excited and carried away.
I can imagine, indeed.
Yeah.
And even for myself, but coming back to the green band, though, I wanted to add is that, for us, sometimes our map comes out where we actually fall majority of time in the green band. And, as I said, there is plus to everything, and also there might be some minus in that. In the green band, I can come across and get along with everybody because everybody could understand me and I can understand them. So that will work out as a good thing. And then, how do you actually go beyond, see how much you are capable of doing? And so sometimes, do you want to really stay in there? Do you want to be, I would say, conformed to everything that everyone does? What would make you different? And so those are questions that would help those who might fall in the band to think that, am I okay just being maybe normal or like everybody else? I don't want to say normal, but being like everyone else. Or do I want to stand out? Do I want to be beyond, and show also what I'm capable of doing in some other areas? But it's interesting to look at it and to understand that nothing is wrong with anybody. And nothing is wrong with you when you do your map and like for me, my stress response is that when my feelings is very like zero, and my logic is so high, and so sometimes I have a hard time, or I should say my team have a hard time understanding me.
Yes. Yeah.
But when I came to understand the behavior that I am given off, right, that sometimes certain situation need you to bring your logic, and yes, and then certain situation need to bring the feelings. And so for me, it was working on my feelings, because if I go high logic all the time, I come across as though I don't care, and I don't have no feelings. And I was sharing about this too. Like my husband, Map, is totally opposite of mine, and so his feelings is high, mine is low. My logic is higher, his logic is low, and so sometimes it's a this battle to make him understand what I am seeing, and then he's trying to make me feel what he's feeling.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, from relationships, I can see, yeah, how this could help you and in your relationships with others, or maybe your marriage and your kids, and mapping, the whole family together and see how we are all different and where we may be alike and how do we talk to each other. And so it's so many things for me came out on this map for myself as a leader, so that I've become more aware, and
Yeah.
being self-aware is one of the most powerful thing as a leader that you can have. And this is what AccuMatch does for the leaders, I would say, is to bring more awareness for you where you fall. And indeed, like for me, I'm very high contrary. My team is totally opposite. So I would ask a bunch of questions, and I would challenge them. And so learning and adopting, it's interesting. And I would say yes, I'm still learning and adopting, and I'm not perfect. I keep working on it and keep reminding myself though that where I am at and my mom, where my team is at, where is this person, and based on sometimes how they speak to, I can tell where they're at, and understanding that. So sometimes, like for me, I want to see things, and so in all of the offices, I would put a board so that there's a whiteboard in every office. Mine have a really big one, so that when we have meetings, it's going there.
Yeah.
So it's up. I can see it. I can analyze and understand better. And also for me, I'm more auditory. And when I learned that, I understood that I cannot just keep speaking to my team. Majority of them are more high visual. They want to see the thing, and so it's stopping talking and go to the board and also show them it here, there, teach them it or whatever, and then they're like, aha, now they get it.
Yeah. Those are really good examples. It's funny, almost everybody that does one wants to then go home and do one with their spouse, their kids, and so on. So, there's another whole industry, I guess, that we're not a part of right now. The things that you share, I have my map in front of me as well, because I'm constantly learning about my triggers, my responses, and I have to catch myself. So the map allows me to just have a reminder of some of these things. In fact, as we were coming onto this call today, I had to look at it and remind myself to, not be I'm a very high difference, high change, high options, and so I embrace change very quickly. I introduce change very quickly, and I have to slow that down. There are people that just want to progress more slowly. So those are all really what we're maybe if I can put it into a context here. In the first decade of the 2000s, 2000 to 2010, I think we saw a very heavy focus on limiting beliefs. And I think this decade we need to focus on limiting behaviors. Okay? So because it's the behaviors that we express, and it's the form that we communicate with the world, that other people observe us and they get triggered by our behavior, not our beliefs. Okay? And so, yes, the two go together, but what you said earlier, the visual part is the behavior. And people see you doing stuff. You don't see yourself doing stuff. So, if you like, AccuMatch is one of the tools that we're introducing this year. We're introducing a bunch more tools to actually build on that whole behavior experience. The limiting behaviors are really often our blind spots, and we want to transform. We want to have better experience. We want to have better relationship with other people. We didn't talk about the fact that AccuMatch is in multiple languages. We want this to go around the globe. By helping leaders learn more about their behavior and their interaction with others, what's possible. It's beyond my thinking. I think it's going to be something that I'm hoping will evolve right across the world and help people transform their engagement, their results, and their success.
Remember, it's not labeling, it's just behaviors. What you're seeing, they're just behaviors.
Yeah.
And yes, some of the behaviors are serving you well where you're at right now, and some may not be serving you well. And so that's where the power lies, as to understanding those that are not serving you and how you adopt or address it in whatever ways that is going to help to serve you instead. I think that awareness is powerful.
You bring up so many good points. We can talk for another half hour here. But behavior is what we observe, but our conditioning as human beings causes us to leap to judgments, which are the labels that we throw at people. Oh, you are like this, or you are that, But you know what? If you change that behavior, you get a different result. People see you in a totally different light. And perfect examples of that are actors. Actors on a movie set act out the behavior of the person they're trying to portray. And so you see that person as that behavior, and you judge them according to their behavior on stage, on screen. You don't judge them based on who they are at home. And we won't digress into that one because there's been some problems in some of those areas. But, that's the power of behavior, right? You can act out things. We learn sports that way. We've learned a lot of things through growing up, which we express through our behavior. But people can't read our minds. They can only see how we act. And that's the label we give people. So if you change how you act, how you behave, of course you're going to get a different response. Right? Thank you for that thought. Yeah. Anyway.
And so I know that we share a lot of how AccuMatch can help us as leaders, especially for our behaviors and also our team and understanding, how we can communicate even better with our teams, because now we know how they need to be communicated to. And, indeed, the part with the global and detail and, people, some of us, if we don't understand, and like for me, I'm a big picture person too, and then I want the details, but some people need to see the details, and then it's all the pieces of the puzzle, and then they're gonna see the entire picture. Like for me, I'm the opposite. I need to see the picture and then the pieces. And so if you don't understand those things and all these areas, how you can, build a team better in understanding them. And I think that's why this is so powerful. But Maggie, before you tell us how we can, maybe people, how they can even, yes, I know they can contact me also to get a map done, but you can also hear a little bit more on how, they can get into touch with you or get into touch with your company, and where can they get more information?
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Shanti, and thanks for the opportunity today. It was great. Like I said, we can talk for hours. There's just so many aspects to this. I'm now really, we're letting people realize, there are so many coaching methodologies of helping people through coaching. One comes to mind when you talk about global in detail is chunking up or chunking down. Well, how do you know when you need to work with someone to get them to chunk up or get them to chunk down? It takes sessions of understanding and coaching and learning about that person to really start to recognize that, whereas the map tells you before you start your first session, right? So this is really, and where I'm going with that is AccuMatch, if you like, is becoming, for me and for the coaches that are doing this and the leaders that are using this, it's the foundation upon which we build our behavior intelligence. And so this year we've just launched the behaviorintelligence.io and Behavior Intelligence Institute, because all of these methods of working with people, teams, recruiting, diversity, all of this is really a part of where AccuMatch and the tools that we're providing are becoming the platform on which to build behavior intelligence.
I have
yeah, that's great. Thank you.
IO website here that you can actually go read more about this, get a better understanding of what Nagy is doing with his team and all the work that they're developing, and how it can help us become better leaders. And a lot, I think, would be also on our emotional intelligence side of it stuff and the behavior side of stuff, and how all of these things come into play. But you can read more about it on the behaviorintelligence.io.
Yep.
And
if you click on Behavior Intelligence Institute in the middle there, up the top, you can go to the Institute and you can see all the different leadership programs that we have and coaching programs. And these are just in flux at the moment, so they're evolving because there's just so many applications, as I said, to actually using these tools and systems. So thank you again.
I love innovation, and I think that's what we have in common is that, I like to do different things. Not to be same thing over and over and over. And I do appreciate people. We do need people who is okay with doing the same thing over and over. There are things that routine has to be done, and so I do appreciate people who can do that. Yes. I think for me, I need to do different things. And I love that you guys are coming up with different stuff and how it's going to help others. And we're moving into a new world and understanding different things. So, indeed. Perfect. So, I would say, Nagy, before we close off, is there anything you would like to leave with anyone that is listening right now and those who will be reviewing back this video? Anything you would like to leave with them?
No, thank you so much, Shanti. It's been a pleasure. Love to do it again. There's more that we can dive into, obviously, and then even looking at some of the specific programs that we have on the website that are specific to different areas. We've recently had a big request for family-run enterprises, so we've launched a program for that because we're seeing the baby boomers want to figure out how to transfer their businesses to the families, and there's lots of infighting because we become so comfortable with siblings and we know how to push each other's buttons, and AccuMatch and behavior intelligence is really becoming an important part of that transition for family-run businesses. So that's a new one, but there's a whole bunch of other ones that obviously are coming out of that. Thank you again.
Amazing. I could think of so many businesses in Guyana that are family owned, and indeed some of them how they familiarity.
Yes, yes. You know, we're one. You know, my wife and I have worked together for 30 plus years. You know, so we've had multiple businesses, so we know that firsthand what it takes to do. I've coached many family-run businesses. So, you know, some that are just blended families. You know, that's even more challenging. We're finding, you know, with you know what's happening in the world today. You know, there's lots of families that have kids from different backgrounds that come together and they have a business together, and now you've got kids with from one parent and kids from another parent. It The whole dynamics is very interesting. So yeah, all of that is really coming to surface, and AccuMatch is helping through that transformation. Very exciting.
Yep, I am excited too. So, Nagi, I must say thank you so much for your time out today and sharing. I know we just maybe touched the surface of AccuMatch here. There's so many things to learn and go more in depth into understanding our behaviors, and that's why it's important to have a coach who can work with you and help you to understand these behavior in each one of these areas and
Yep.
develop a plan of what you want to do about it, and maybe having your coach hold you accountable to go do it
Yep.
will also help. Definitely. So thank you again, Nagi, and definitely would love to hear more about what the institute is doing, what your organization is doing, and what new things you guys how everything is evolving, and be sure gonna love to have you back telling us more about these things and how we are using these things as leaders to develop ourselves too. So really appreciate the time out today, and I'm sure many people who have listened have gotten a little idea of AccuMatch and how it can help them too. So
Thank
have
you,
a great
Shanti.
day.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
Yeah, you too.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.